Assaulted. Today we're here at beautiful Stulsaft Park in Redwood City. That's weird. I always thought it was Stulstaff growing up. I guess it's Stulsaft. But we're pretty much here to check out some cool local plants and to show you that even in the bleak urban hellscape that we've turned most of the peninsula into, there's still a lot of cool pockets of native diversity right in your backyard. So let's check it out. They planted a nice little patch of native plants here in a planter at the beginning. Some ceanothus. Look at that. California lilac. Beautiful. Yarrow. Just about to flower. Butterflies love this. Toyon. Once it berries. Very beautiful when it's flowering, and once it berries, the birds go crazy for it. Here's a lupine. It hasn't flowered yet, but poppies. Manzanita, love it. Look at that red bark, beautiful. These little beauties right here called milkmaids, Cardamine californica. They're an annual wildflower. That means they only pop up once a year. They die. Before they do that, they spread their seed as much as they can. That's what these little seed pods are. And then they come back the next year. But they're pretty cool looking. Pacific sanicle, Sanicula crassulacaris. Right here we got my favorite native tree, Pacific Madrone, Arbutus menziesii. It's the one they taught us about in Outdoor Ed, the one that's the refrigerator tree. Whoa, try and get over here without breaking myself off. That smooth bark, so nice. This is the only one of this size I know that grows here. Here's another madrone right here, but as you can see, because it's getting shaded out, it's not really doing the best. Still vibing though, still vibing, just not gonna get very big. Even the oaks are flowering right now. Did you know that oaks flowered? Those are called catkins. Those are the female flowers. Once pollinated through wind pollination, those will all be acorns. So you can kind of tell actually by how many catkins it has on it at the beginning of the season, like roughly about how many acorns it will start dropping later in the season. And then over here, growing on this serpentine, we got more blue dicks. Whoa, almost fell right there. Nice. That whole hillside is full of them. More milkmaids. Pineapple weed, super tiny, like the size of the tip of my finger. But when you crush it up, it smells like pineapple. It is edible as well. I think you can kind of make a tea out of it, kind of like you would chamomile. This is one of my favorite annuals right here. It's called miner's lettuce. Super cool. Look at how that leaf grows around the outside of the flower. It's an annual. So it needs to spread its seed every year because it only lives for about 3 months. That's what it does right there. It gets those flowers. Once they get pollinated, they make seed pods, and the seed pods violently project the seeds all over the forest floor. A whole big old patch of that miner's lettuce. Got some ferns growing out of the side of this sandstone cliff right here. Goldback fern, some maidenhair ferns. They're just growing straight out of that sandstone. Stulsaft Park has two geological types of things going on. Part of the park is sandstone, like this, crumbles very easily. The other part is serpentine, California state rock. Nice little fern growing at the base of this laurel tree. Ferns are cool even though they don't flower. This is California polybody, Polypodium californica. Pretty cool. There's quite a bit of it here. Growing with the miner's lettuce, Pacific sanicle. This right over here from that fern. Little guy coming up out of the ground. He's just maybe smaller than my finger. Pacific pea. Very distinct flowers of the pea family. There's a guy that's spent right there, about to drop some seeds. Here's a pretty cool native right here. Great horsetail, giant horsetail. Equisetum telmatia. You see its, brother plant a lot in landscaping, the regular horsetail, but it's a water plant. It grows on the banks of creeks, riparian areas, but it's a pretty cool plant. Holy shit. This is the biggest patch of that giant horsetail that I have ever seen in my life. That whole area is covered in it. Holy crap, and some of these things are huge. Look at this guy right here. Nice and fluffy. That's crazy. Blue elderberry right here. It's about to flower too, as you can see. This is our native elderberry. The same elderberry that the medicinal tea is made out of. The berries, you can't eat them raw though. You have to boil them. But when you do, you can make them into a jam, a tea, anything that tickles your fancy. More of that Pacific pea just going straight out of the cliffside. I might actually take the seed pods that it's growing right here and kind of spread them up that hill instead of right here, because they're not going to do any good to anyone in the water. Nice little creek. But we're coming over here. Watch out for the poison oak. To check on this tree over here. It's the only one I know of that grows in this park. It's an alder, a white alder, Alnus rhombifolia. Pretty cool. Has your normal alder leaves like that. Probably not going to get too much bigger because it's getting shaded out by all the oaks and laurels. But, you never know. It might. It just will take a while. And then you can see there's some more of those irises blooming in the back there on that hillside. LOL. Right as I said, that's the only one that I think grows in this park. Literally 10 to 20 feet down the river. There's an even bigger one right here. That's pretty funny. It's funny, they got this sign right here that says poison oak, but the only thing growing above it is a big toyon. Toyon is one of the most important plants in our ecosystem. The berries that it gets, birds go pretty crazy for. Here's a couple from last year you can see still on the plant. But yeah, there is some poison oak down there. And that's an important part of our ecosystem too. It's like deer's favorite food. But this plant, toyon, is really nice when it's flowering, and then it has big red berries on it all year that the birds love. Here we have a Solomon's plume. Pretty cool plant. Whole patch of it growing right here. And then right up this hill right here on this downed oak branch, it looks like, there's a really cool fungus growing right here. Look at that. It's just covering that whole log. About to turn it into some good soil. Everyone on the West Coast's favorite plant, Pacific poison oak. Poison oak is actually in the cashew family, which also includes mangoes in that same family. The compound in poison oak that makes it itch is called urushiol. And you can actually, if you have a bad enough allergy to the compound urushiol, you can actually get a similar reaction to poison oak if you have mangoes or cashews. But that's only if you're super allergic. So since we're here and we have both plants in the same area, I figured I'd take a second to talk about how to tell the difference between poison oak and blackberry, since they look very similar. This is actually the invasive blackberry. It's not our native blackberry. I haven't seen any since I got here, but yeah, but they still look very similar. So they both grow in kind of leaves of 3, although the blackberry will sometimes grow in leaves of 5. But a couple of the main differences you can tell is the poison oak right here is glossy, it looks like there's kind of like an oil on it, whereas the blackberry is flat. And then another way to tell is poison oak grows from stems that have nothing on it. They're just bare, like wood. Blackberry will always have spiked branches, as you can see. And then another way to check, although I'd recommend getting a stick for this, I think I'm resistant to poison oak because I've come in contact with it a bunch and never gotten it, but it's not a theory I want to test, so I'm still going to use a stick. But what you're going to want to do is you turn the leaf over, and if you see a glaucous, spiky, like gray texture on the back of it, that's raspberry or blackberry. Sorry, blackberry. See like that? Right? Also, the blackberry leaves are very like serrated on the edges, whereas the poison oak, it's very smooth and rounded on the edges. So that's a couple ways to tell the difference. Here we have California buckeye, Aesculus californica. A really cool kind of medium to large size tree, depending on where it's planted. This, since it's shaded, will probably not get too much bigger than this, but that's okay. But it's really cool green. When they're flowering, I'll come back when they're flowering. They pop off. They look kind of like crepe myrtles, except, you know, better because they're native. Nice. Look at this. If I can get up this hill without breaking my ass. A whole patch of blooming Pacific starflower. Pretty sick. I'm digging that. That whole hillside is covered in them. Some pink honeysuckle right here. It's not flowering yet, but when it does, it's really nice. The poppies up on the hill are going crazy. There's some of them, like that one right there. It's literally growing out of the side of a rock. Right here, pretty cool one. We have our native iris that grows here in California, Douglas iris. Super nice. Foliage looks like that. This is the only one in the patch flowering. Doesn't seem to be getting too much sun here. They are a shade plant, but they do still need a little bit of sun to bloom. Douglas iris about to bloom. See how it's like reaching for every little bit of light it can get because it's on the bottom of this forest canopy. This absolute beast of a tree is our native California bay laurel. It's related to the one that you use for bay cooking, like cooking bay leaves with, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you got like strong taste buds because it's really potent. Right here they have this cool little area where they're restoring some of the plants that should be here, but there's not as many of, like that monkey flower over there, this yarrow right here. I'd go up there and take a closer look, but we're just gonna let that chill. This little serpentine outcrop right here that is popping off with some wildflowers right now. California poppies, Escalosia californica, blue dicks. I don't know why they are called that, but that is what they are called. There's one right there up close. Pretty nice. A little trefoil down here. That one might be easy to miss if you don't know what you're looking for. And then you got these right here, which are wavy soap plants. They're not blooming yet. They're just about to. See, they're about to start right there. But that's why they're called wavy leaf soap plants. Got those wavy leaves, and it's all possible because of this serpentine soil. Our native wildflowers love it. The invasives don't. So it gives them a fighting chance to actually get established like this. Here's one I have been looking for a long time. Gilia achillifolia. Look at those neon blue stamens in there. And you can see why it's easy to miss. My hand is like the size of the whole patch. Very tiny. So like I was saying, Stulsaft Park has two different kinds of substrate that it sits on. A little part of it sits on sandstone. The rest of it sits on serpentine, which is what we're on right here. Serpentine grassland. Super bloom going off. The natives love it. The invasives, besides that invasive oak grass in there, hate it. So it kind of gives the natives a little bit of an advantage. The serpentine grassland is popping right here. Tidy tips, more blue dicks, more poppies, some more trefoil. Look at those tidy tips, so nice. Some more of that trefoil. Ooh, that's a native plantain that grows here. Forget exactly which one. I think it's dot seed plantain, I believe. More of those tidy tips going off. It's crazy. Some blue-eyed grass. Look at all those fucking tidy tips. Holy hell. So many. More blue dicks. Whoever's bright idea was to think to grow English ivy at a natural area like fucking Stulsaft Park should be kicked in the balls. God damn it, English ivy again. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Another thing I've been trying to find out here for a long time is this super rare onion, flowering onion that grows only on the peninsula of the Bay Area in California. And it's like on the top of the California Native Plant Society's like endangered plant species and stuff. So been trying to find it, but until it's flowering it's really hard to tell. I think I may have found something right here. Right, that looks kind of oniony, smells kind of oniony, but we'll have to come back and see when it's flowering, which is in May. Although that's a good sign because that's a small flower bud right there. So we're definitely gonna come back and check that out soon. Man, holy hell. Look at all these freaking tidy tips. That is insane. The whole hillside is covered in them.